Hi everyone, welcome back to 3 Inquisitive Kids. This is our first video in the new lesson, ratio word problems. So in the 5th grade school year, ratios are an important part to a lot of our word problems. And we're going to be using more ratios and fractions as we advance into later grades. So now instead of working with whole numbers or exact numbers, we're going to be working with a lot of relationships and we're going to be working with a lot of parts and units. So let me first talk about a very important thing that's going to, or tool that's going to help us solve these problems. And that's going to be called units. So that's very important. Or some people can call it parts. So what are units? What are parts? So when we're giving a relationship, we're going to be working with relationships. We don't know, a lot of the times we don't know the exact numbers, but what we do know is the relationship between those two numbers. So then a lot of our things would be based on units. For example, say we have the ratio, very simple, let's say 1, 2, 3 for some sort of relationship. How many units are here? Well, right here there are actually 4 units. Why? Because this is 1 unit, this is 1 unit, this is 3 units. So altogether there's 4 units. So each of these units can represent something. For example, 1 unit could mean 72 apples or something. So 1 unit represents something, but it's like, think of it as splitting the total amount into equal parts, right? Equal parts or equal units. And you package the equal parts together in one package. So that would be 1 unit. And in 1 unit, for example, there could be 72 apples. So this is just splitting up the entire amount into equal parts for easier calculation. And then after that, we're going to substitute the actual values in. All right, so enough talk with the units and the vocabulary words. Let's get to the problem. Okay, problem 1. In the 6th grade, there is a total of 152 children. 1/11 of the boys and 5 girls are selected to give a speech at the school assembly. After choosing the members of the speech, the number of boys and girls left over are equal. So this is a very important part right here. It says that boys and girls that are left over are equal. So how many boys are in the 6th grade? How many boys? Let me first clarify one thing. So when it says that 1/11 of the boys and 5 girls are selected, it doesn't mean that there's an equal amount of boys and girls selected. It's just saying that 1/11 of the boys. So it doesn't necessarily have to be. It doesn't have to necessarily be the same thing. Okay, so that's just one thing to keep in mind. So let's go over what we know. So there's a total of 150 children, 1/11 of the boys. So one part of those 150 children are selected and 5 girls are selected. And this is 5. So we don't know exactly how many girls there are. And this is a fraction. So it's not exactly 1/11 of a boy, because that would be scary, as 1/11 of the boys' population at the school. So the number of boys and girls left over are equal. So how many boys are in the 6th grade? First, we're going to make a table, and tables are very essential and plays a big role in finding values with ratio problems. Let me show you how to make the table. So we have 2 groups of kids. One group of them are boys, and another one of them are girls. So I'm going to use B and G to represent them. And then I'm going to have another thing to set them apart. And this is going to be whether they're chosen or not. So this is the This is selected students for the speech, and this is the leftover students that were not selected to the speech. And we're not going to use this 150 children just yet. So 1/11th of the boys were chosen. So since it's 1/11th, right? 1/11th. 1/11th, that in ratio form is 1 to 11. So answer my question. How many total units are in here? If you guessed 12, you're right. Because this is 1 unit and this is 11 units. So we have to add them. 1 plus 11 equals 12 units. So in this boys column right here, how many were selected? 1 unit was selected. And write unit after this. That's always a good habit. Just not confuse yourself. It's not 1 kid that was selected. It's 1 unit that was selected. And after there was 11 units left. So right over here we have 11. Wait. Okay, sorry. So I made a mistake right here. So 1 out of the 11. 1 out of the 11 means that in total there were actually 11 units. And 10 are left over, right? There's a total of 11 units. Sorry, I just got that wrong. Forgive me. Anyway, if you went on like me, you're gonna get it wrong. So don't copy my mistakes. Anyway, so if there's a total of 11 units, there's gonna be 10 units that are left over for boys. Now, how do we fill in the girls section? Okay, so let's reread the problem. Blah, 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 and it says that right here, the number of boys and girls left over are equal. So let's first not look at the selected section, and let's look at this leftover row. 10 units right here, and they're supposed to have the same amount of people, so there must also be 10 units over here. Now we have this one more blank to fill. What goes in there? Well, do we know the amount of units that's going to go in there? No, because all we know that there is 5 girls. So this is an actual number right here, not a relationship. So that's why I wrote girls right here instead of units. Because we don't know how much units this 5 represents. But now what do we also do know? And I'm just going to make this slightly smaller for more room. Okay, so what do we do now? We know that this entire thing is 152 children. 152 children. So let's give units. So let's make 1 unit. Let's let 1 unit be equal to x. How about that? X. So how much units are here? Well, there's 1, now 11, and 10 more is 21. So 21x plus these 5 girls right here is equal to the total amount of students, which is 152. Now we solve for x. So 21x is equal to 152 minus 5, which is 147. 147 divided by 21, that is 7. So x equals 7. And what's x? X represents 1 unit, which means that 1 unit represents 5 kids or 5 students. And now what are we trying to find? How many boys are in the 6th grade? So now we just look at the boys column. There's a total of 11 units in here. So what we can do is multiply 11 with 7, and we have 77. The final answer is 77